Hello, friend. This video is specifically talking about leaders of leaders. This is a higher level of leadership video. Let's dive in. Number one, intentionality. High performance leaders are highly intentional. As the saying goes, you don't drift to greatness. It requires massive intentionality. You and I only have so much time in the day. And honestly, we waste a ton of it. TV, social media, worried about problems. I can waste a ton of time, and I know you can too. High performance leaders don't waste much. They're very intentional. In fact, right now, I'm extremely intentional on a few areas. And because of that, my time has been shrunk down. See, if you try to be a leader of leaders, but you aren't intentional, it leads to extreme exhaustion and burnout. Have you been there where you're like trying to push the rock up the hill? And you're just pushing and pushing and pushing, and it seems exhausting. Perhaps you're missing some intentionality. You can't have everything all at once. And an intentional leadership knows that and focuses on that. Right now, I am extremely focused on two areas and two areas only. I'll share those with you. Right now, it's on my health and growing this channel. Those are the two areas. Yes, I'm doing a bunch of other things, but those two areas I'm making a massive effort in. So last night, the sun was setting, time was getting short, and I went on a run anyways, wearing as much green as possible with a light green hat on. I looked like a little highlighter running through the night. Why? Because I didn't want to get hit by a car. Like, I chose to do that over watching TV. Great leaders are intentional ones, but not just in what we're moving. I shared, like, I am intentional on my fitness and this channel. But because of that, I have to be highly intentional about my rest and recovery. So I have no space for TV watching and social media scrolling. And it's not because those things are bad. It's because those things do not fill me up. And so I am focused on those two things and moving those rock up the hill, which is requiring a lot of effort, and on my recovery. So going on a walk with my wife because she fills me. Playing games with the kids because that fills me. Doing different activities. What fills you up? Because if you are putting a lot of effort in, you need tons of refill. All right, number two, there is no finish line. High performance leaders know that there is no finish line. Leadership never ends. And in fact, because you are stewarding for God, eternity is the finish line. Little hint, eternity keeps going, right? There is no finish line. And when you create a leadership finish line on things, it's a lid. It's a lid for you. It's a lid for those you are leading. Because when you treat it like there isn't a stop point, right? You are approaching it with a false energy level, right? Okay, so when I acknowledge there's no finish line, I am pouring back in that energy into myself with going on a walk with my wife, like I shared, games. In like 10 days, I'm going off in the wilderness for 5 days. No internet reception. I'm so excited for it. It's one of the refilling things I do. I am focused on that because of the no finish line. When there's a finish line, if I was like, I'm going to focus on this channel for 2 months and then I'm stopping, I'm not going to really replenish myself to the same degree. In your leadership, how would you operate differently if there was no finish line? Who would you pour into a little more? How would you refill yourself? These are things high performance leaders ask themselves. There's no finish line. Number three, you are the obstacle. I am the obstacles. When we approach it with this mindset, it changes everything. See, it's too easy to blame the people I'm leading, blame the environment, even the arrogance of blaming God for my situation. But here's the truth. Your leadership is your problem. You're the mindset you have, the habits you create, blind spots that are there, assumptions you're making. These are all what stops us in our leadership, not the people we're leading, not the environment, and certainly not the creator of the universe. So I've began to ask myself 2 questions that radically changed my leadership. And it's questions I ask the leaders that work for me now. What did you create? That's the first one. What did you create? This last day, what effort did you put in? What intentionality did you put in? What did you create? See, we are creative beings because we're made in the image of God, right? We want to give Him glory, but we still have a role that we play. And so what did you create? In the last 24 hours, I was just thinking what I created space to hear from God. I created a level of intimacy with my wife and with my kids because I spent the time to be with them in the moment. At dinner last night, we created an environment to hear what's going on in our kids' lives because we asked different questions. What was your high today? What was your low today? Where did you see Jesus show up today? Every night, that's what we do. And so we created those environments. I created that, and I'm proud of it. But here's the second question that's a little harder. What did you allow? See, your life is a mixture of those 2 questions, what you created and what you allowed. I didn't really understand this early on in leadership, and so I pour all my time into what I was creating, right? The fostering an environment of growth, pouring into people's lives. But then I would allow behavior, showing up late to work, or not calling in. And not surprisingly, all of a sudden, other people I was leading started to model the behavior around them. And so we are allowing things in our lives. We're allowing mindset drift. We're allowing other people to treat us a certain way. Our life is a combination of those 2 things, creating and allowing. And when we expect that extreme ownership over things, that becomes high performance leadership. See, we can get into more is more, though, as leaders. Like, more means more. And that just leads to burnout. Because, my friend, at the end of the day, you and I are human. So this isn't like avoid your limits, do a ton of stuff, right? But it is be intentional with the time you have and pray to God about what He would have you do and be intentional of that and let other things go. Hope this helps you become the high-performance leader you are meant to be. Have a great day, and God bless you in your journey.